Now I'm ready for my next one. Same thing. Let it just slide down. Get it good and snug. Lock it over. Now then we should be pretty tight. Now we're ready to apply pressure to a HydroJack system. We're running a rectangle with a 10-inch cross blade surface cut. The formula to figuring out the pressure for this is simply 120 pounds of total force pressure times the width of your cross cut. Our cross cut is 10, so here 120 times 10 would be 1,200. We would divide that and have 600 pounds of pressure on each HydroJack. Now this is simply a guideline. This is not a set rule of thumb. It will probably take a little bit less than that. But this gives you a good idea of what your pressure should be set on this. Now as I'm starting to set my pressure, I want to make sure my pressure gauges are facing this way so that I can see them. Especially if you're running rookie pressmen, you want your supervisor to be able to walk by and keep an eye on them. We do not want to spin this unit. So what we're going to do is I'm kind of going to hold this in place and I'm going to start tightening. Now once I get it snug, I'm going to go to this side. I don't really want to go too much one side to the other. Now I'm going to go up, I'm looking at going up, I'm going to start out at 500 pounds of pressure. Our math tells us 600. I'm going to start light. I can go up and notice that I'm only going up about half amount each time. I'm not really trying to overset one side at a time. But if I start out about right there, my math is telling me that I should be pretty set. And the key thing about this is I'm putting the same amount of pressure on this side as I'm putting on this side. And that's going to give longevity to my die, make my run simpler, and my die won't quit cutting halfway through the run. This is a very important thing that you understand this and that you have the ability to check this on your press. One thing that I see very common is dies that are multiple across, one side wears out quicker than the other. This is the reason why. Run HydroJacks, you'll eliminate that problem, and I think you'll be a lot more successful in your converting. The next piece of converting equipment I want to discuss with you now is the vacuum die. This is a pretty unique process. Simply does what it says. It vacuums away the product as you cut it metal to metal. As you can see here, this is set up a little bit different than what an air eject or something of that nature would be. This actually has punches, like if you're familiar with a punch unit for pin feed or something of that nature. You can see the punches right here. You have replacement punches for it. And the way this die simply works is, as the cavities are punched, it fills up and pushes through. And in the end of this die, you'll hook up a vacuum system that sucks the pieces out. Now, it's set up two different ways. If I'm going to be punching a non-pressure sensitive material, I can simply go with a simple setup, put my special die blocks on, and run, because the non-pressure sensitive material is going to punch through, vacuum out, no problem, so whatever. What we're going to be setting up is for the pressure sensitive cutting. As these punches punch through, that pressure sensitive builds up and we have to cut it off. We do it with a simple guitar string. This acts just like a doctor blade. As it spins in there, it'll cut that pressure sensitive off. I recommend you do it on bond also, but the assembly we're doing today is pressure sensitive, and I'm going to show you how to do this. The first critical thing before we do anything is make sure that your washers are preset. Go ahead, get everything set. Now, we leave ours on there like we've mentioned before, so I know this is set. But before you go putting this in and out, make sure your washers are set and your die fits snug. The second thing we want to do is take our guitar string, and we're going to run it through this hole right here in our drive side assembly block. Also, it does have an oil hole, so make sure it's facing up. I want to run this through, simply let the guitar string catch. I've got my washers pre-mounted. I know it's going to fit tight. Now I want to run this all the way through the die. Pull this up, get this on good and snug. As you can see, I got my string all the way through. Now I need to put my outside block on. There's a hole, just like on a guitar string, down through here that I've got to wire this into. As I get it set up, I want to get this And it helps if you turn it upside down because the hole opens up. Steady hands. Whoo. Tell I'm a fisherman. Now then, I want to slide that all the way down. Get it snug up on here. I want to lock this down to where it's tight. And then I want to twist this just like you're tuning a guitar. Now you don't want to over twist it. And the way you can check that is by pulling on this and make sure it's not too tight. As you can see, that's got a lot of slack in it. Now that's good and tight. What that's going to do is be a doctor blade in there as it spins around. It's going to cut it off and the vacuum's going to suck it right out. We're now ready to put this in the press. All right, we're now ready to put our die in the press just like any other die. Probably the difficulty of this is we got to be completely straight because everything's squared off. We don't have a twist block. Simply done. Hands in secure place. Line up the inside block. Getting it completely straight. You'll know because it'll start going in. Don't let it fall. Keep your hand under it. Slide it in place. Here again, make sure it's tight. Now I'm just going through my standard setup. I want to put my truck assembly in. Don't want to let it fall. Make sure everything lines up. Put my bridge on. Now simply put my hydro jacks in place. Got to make sure they lock down tight. Okay. Now then, simply want to put, I think we're looking at about 300 pounds of pressure on each side. Remember, I want to do this evenly. And I'll know if that's good enough once we start cutting. Now then, I simply want to cut off my guitar string here just a little bit, leave a little bit hanging off. You might have to redo this sometime. I'll leave a couple of inches, pull that off. And now simply just hook my vacuum hose, which is fitted to this. When you order a vacuum system, they're going to ask you a hose size. This hose fits right on there. You can take and put tape on it or something if you want to. I don't think we'll have to. And now I'm ready to run. If all goes well, I'm going to cut the press up, and I ought to be sheeting stuff right out into my vacuum. Hopefully it'll work. It's a new vacuum, so it might not. And as you can see, foot a minute, no problem. A little bit of oil. Now, as an operator, the thing that I like best about this system is, look on the floor. There's absolutely no air punches. Those of you that's ran air eject dies and things of that nature before, this is really, really nice. I think if you try it, you'll like it. Very simple to assemble. Something that I think you really ought to look into. The next type of converting we're going to be talking about, die cutting, is our metal-to-metal air eject die. Now, this die works a little differently than the vacuum. It's designed to cut the product out and have it fall away. As we show you how to properly assemble and work this die, we'll also be showing you a couple of neat little products that Rotometrics sells that basically we've all been using in the past when we run air eject. We just make it out of cardboard, but you'll find that we have some neat ways to make this not such a messy job and really help you get some die life out of your die by proper usage and by not letting things build up on it. First off, understand what an air eject die does. Yes, it is designed to blow the piece out, but more than anything, it's designed so that the piece won't build up in it and bust a cavity. So when you're running one, make sure, especially if you're running pressure sensitive, make sure that the cavity stays cleaned out. Two different types of air eject dies, focused air and full air. What we're running here is a focused air, and a focused air means that your rod will have a slit in it, and the air will only come out, and we can focus the point of cut to when the air blows out, so it only blows out at that point in time. Full air just means it blows in there and it blows out all the holes at the same time. Focused air works a little bit better. If you got 6 holes or less, you might can go with full air. It's probably a little bit less expensive. My preference, though, definitely is the focused air, and I'll show you why when we set this up on the press. But what we're running is a focused air, metal-to-metal die cut that's going to be shooting little 1/8-inch circles out of the material. Now, we're going to do this through a process of setting up vacuums and an offline air system. The air system that currently is running to your press, odds are it does not blow enough air. We need 100 pounds or 100 PSIs to really effectively run this die. So what we use is an offline air system, a small compressor that we plug in and run it on special jobs. All right, now we got our die loaded in, our air eject die. I want to go through my setup. As many times you'll hear me say, the efficiency of a run, the profitability of a run is decided in the setup. If I set this up to run easily so that I can go roll to roll and I keep my press running 7 hours out of 8 every day, I'm looking good. So the setup, for me as a pressman, I want it done right so that I don't have to fight it. But for the overall efficiency of it means everything. So in converting, remember, printing's just laying ink to paper. Converting's where the real work's done. So make sure that you're set up similar to what we're going to show you. There's a lot of neat gadgets out there. Investigate all of them. Try all of them. You'll really be surprised at what you find. Many of the pressmen who are been in the industry for a while can relate to this pretty easily. Some of the owners will also know the nightmares that I'm talking about. But number one thing I want to draw your attention to is the vacuum system that we have set up to just a regular shop vac type vacuum. This is a very inexpensive system. Basically, we all make something of this nature when you're trying to remove air eject product from the web. But Rotometrics has come up with a real unique little product here. It allows you to vacuum the product out. It's got a blade on it that shims them off. It really gets probably about 98% of what you want to pull out of there. Now, many of us have built catch boxes, vacuum boxes, things of that nature, and they all work great. This just gives you some consistency, some trainability. It allows you to do it in your plant pretty much at ease. And it does eliminate, like I said, about 98% of the dots you would normally get on the floor. Works real simple. Get your web fitted, vacuum here. As it goes through, it shims it off. Vacuum sucks it right into the system. I'll show you this. It runs very efficient. Another thing you got to key on is the angle of this coming off and having you an L roll here. You don't want to just pull straight to this. You got to have a form so that